Many women describe emotional safety as one of the most valuable qualities they seek in any close relationship. Whether it is a friendship, a romantic partnership, or simply a meaningful connection built on mutual respect. Emotional safety is not about avoiding every disagreement or expecting perfection. Instead, it comes from knowing that another person will respond with consistency, patience, and emotional balance, even when life becomes stressful. This is one reason some women feel more comfortable around certain senior men after the age of 60. Years of life experience often teach valuable lessons that cannot be learned from books alone. Many older adults have faced career challenges, family responsibilities, health concerns, financial ups and downs, personal disappointments, and moments of loss. While every individual grows differently, these experiences can help some people become less reactive and more thoughtful in the way they communicate. From a psychological perspective, the human brain naturally pays attention to patterns because predictable behavior reduces uncertainty. When someone consistently follows through on promises, remains calm during difficult conversations, and treats others with respect regardless of the situation, the brain gradually begins to associate that person with emotional security rather than emotional risk. This process usually happens quietly over time through repeated interactions instead of dramatic moments. For example, imagine a woman sharing a personal concern or admitting a mistake. If the person listening immediately criticizes, interrupts, or becomes defensive, she may hesitate to open up again. However, if the listener remains patient, asks sincere questions, and responds without judgment, trust begins to deepen. Emotional safety grows through these ordinary conversations that communicate acceptance and understanding. Many emotionally mature senior men have also learned that every disagreement does not require an immediate reaction. Instead of speaking from frustration, they may pause, reflect, and choose words that solve problems instead of creating new ones. This calmer communication style often lowers tension and encourages more honest conversations. Emotional intelligence plays an important role here because it involves recognizing feelings without allowing those feelings to control behavior. Women who have previously experienced emotionally unpredictable relationships may especially appreciate someone whose words and actions remain aligned over time. Rather than wondering what mood they will encounter each day, they can focus on building genuine connection. In daily life, emotional predictability appears in small but meaningful habits, such as arriving when promised, remembering important conversations, respecting personal boundaries, apologizing sincerely after misunderstandings, remaining patient during stressful moments, and responding thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. These consistent behaviors quietly strengthen trust because they show reliability through actions rather than promises, allowing emotional comfort to develop naturally through repeated positive experiences rather than temporary impressions. Feeling emotionally safe in a relationship is deeply connected to the experience of being respected, understood, and valued as an equal person. While attraction may bring two people together, genuine respect is often what determines whether a relationship becomes emotionally healthy over time. This is one reason some women report feeling safer with certain senior men after the age of 60. It is not simply about age itself, but about the communication habits that many people develop through decades of life experience. As individuals grow older, some begin to recognize that meaningful relationships cannot thrive through control, constant competition, or the need to always be right. Instead, they learn that trust grows when both people feel comfortable expressing their thoughts without fear of being dismissed, criticized, or ignored. Psychology has long emphasized that every person has a basic emotional need to feel heard. Active listening is more than remaining silent while another person speaks. It involves giving genuine attention, maintaining curiosity, asking thoughtful questions, and trying to understand the meaning behind someone's words instead of immediately preparing a response. When a woman feels that her experiences, opinions, and emotions are treated with sincere interest, her nervous system often becomes more relaxed because she senses that the conversation is a place of understanding rather than judgment. Communication researchers frequently point out that validation does not require agreement. Two people can hold different opinions while still acknowledging that the other's feelings make sense from their perspective. This distinction is incredibly important because many conflicts become painful not because people disagree, but because one person feels invisible or misunderstood. An emotionally mature individual may say, "I can understand why you would feel that way," even if they see the situation differently. That simple response often lowers defensiveness and opens the door to productive conversation. Some senior men, having experienced different seasons of life, discover that relationships become stronger when they replace assumptions with curiosity. Rather than believing they already know what another person is thinking, they ask questions that invite honest discussion. Instead of interrupting with advice, they may first ask, "Would you like me to listen, or are you looking for suggestions?" That small question communicates respect because it gives the other person control over how the conversation unfolds. Many women appreciate this approach because it allows them to feel like active participants rather than passive recipients of someone else's opinions. Emotional safety also grows when respect is shown consistently in everyday interactions, not only during important conversations. A person who thanks others sincerely, speaks politely even when frustrated, remembers details from previous conversations, and avoids sarcastic or dismissive remarks, creates an atmosphere where mutual trust can develop. These behaviors may appear ordinary, yet psychology suggests that repeated positive interactions gradually shape how safe people feel with one another. Every respectful exchange becomes another piece of evidence that this relationship is built on consideration instead of dominance. Another important aspect of respect involves recognizing personal boundaries. Emotionally healthy relationships acknowledge that every individual has different comfort levels, personal histories, and emotional needs. Some women value having time to think before discussing difficult subjects, while others prefer immediate conversation. A respectful partner pays attention to these differences rather than insisting that everyone communicate the same way. This flexibility demonstrates emotional intelligence because it recognizes that successful communication is not about following one fixed method, but about adapting with empathy. Senior men who have developed patience over the years may be more willing to slow conversations down, allowing emotions to settle before trying to solve problems. This approach often reduces unnecessary misunderstandings because people tend to communicate more clearly when they feel calm instead of pressured. Respect is equally visible in the way someone handles disagreement. Healthy communication does not eliminate conflict, but it changes the way conflict unfolds. During a disagreement, a respectful person focuses on the issue rather than attacking the character of the other individual. They avoid insults, personal criticism, and humiliating comments because they understand that preserving dignity is more valuable than winning an argument. Imagine a couple discussing different financial priorities after retirement. One partner may want to travel more often, while the other prefers saving for future medical expenses. A disrespectful conversation might involve accusations or dismissive statements such as, "You're always worrying," or "You never think about the future." In contrast, a respectful discussion might include questions like, "Can you help me understand what concerns you most?" or "What would help both of us feel comfortable with this decision?" These responses shift attention away from blame and toward cooperation. Emotional safety increases because both people feel invited into the conversation rather than pushed out of it. Another psychological factor involves the difference between listening to respond and listening to understand. Many people unintentionally focus on preparing their next point while the other person is still speaking. Emotionally mature communicators often practice slowing this process down. They summarize what they have heard before offering their own opinion, helping the speaker feel accurately understood. Statements such as, "If I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying," demonstrate attention and care without requiring complete agreement. This technique reduces misunderstandings because it confirms that the message has been received accurately before the conversation moves forward. Respect is also communicated through reliability. When someone consistently follows through on commitments, arrives on time, keeps confidences, and behaves honestly, they reinforce the belief that their words can be trusted. Trust is strengthened when actions repeatedly match intentions. Women often notice these patterns because consistency provides reassurance that respect is not simply expressed through compliments, but demonstrated through dependable behavior. Emotional intelligence also encourages people to recognize the influence of tone, body language, and timing. A thoughtful conversation delivered with patience is often far more effective than perfectly chosen words spoken with irritation. Some senior men become increasingly aware that kindness in delivery matters just as much as the message itself. They understand that speaking calmly, maintaining eye contact, avoiding unnecessary interruptions, and allowing moments of silence all communicate respect without requiring elaborate expressions. These subtle behaviors create conversations where people feel comfortable sharing deeper thoughts, personal memories, future hopes, and even difficult emotions, because they know their experiences will be received with dignity rather than judgment. One of the less obvious psychological reasons some women feel safer with certain senior men after the age of 60 is the quiet confidence that often comes from having a well-established sense of identity. This kind of confidence is very different from arrogance or the need to impress others. It reflects an inner stability that has been shaped by decades of life experiences, personal successes, disappointments, changing priorities, and lessons learned through relationships. While this does not apply to every older adult, many people discover over time that constantly seeking approval from others becomes emotionally exhausting. Instead, they begin to place greater value on authenticity, personal integrity, and emotional balance. Psychology suggests that people with a secure sense of self are generally less dependent on external validation to feel worthy. They are less likely to measure their value by compliments, social status, or whether someone constantly reassures them. This emotional independence can create a more relaxed and healthier relationship, because both individuals are free to connect without carrying the burden of meeting every emotional need for one another. For many women, this kind of emotional atmosphere feels safe because it reduces unnecessary pressure. Instead of feeling responsible for constantly boosting another person's confidence or managing their emotional reactions, they are able to experience a partnership where both people take responsibility for their own emotional well-being. A secure identity also influences communication in subtle but meaningful ways. Someone who feels comfortable with who they are usually does not view every disagreement as a personal attack. If another person expresses a different opinion, they are more likely to become curious rather than defensive. They understand that disagreement does not automatically threaten the relationship or diminish their self-worth. Imagine a conversation about retirement plans, family responsibilities, or lifestyle choices. Two people may have completely different preferences, yet an emotionally secure individual can respond with interest instead of frustration. Rather than insisting that their own perspective is the only correct one, they may ask thoughtful questions, acknowledge the other person's reasoning, and search for common ground. This approach creates an environment where honest conversations become easier because neither person feels pressured to protect their ego. Women often describe this type of communication as calming because it allows discussions to remain respectful even when opinions differ. Another important aspect of a strong sense of identity is the ability to enjoy closeness without becoming emotionally dependent. Healthy relationships involve connection, affection, and mutual support, but they also leave room for individuality. People who know themselves well usually continue to value their personal interests, friendships, hobbies, routines, and life goals, even while building meaningful relationships. This balance can be especially appealing because it demonstrates that love and independence are not opposites. A woman may feel more comfortable with someone who encourages her own interests rather than expecting every moment to revolve around the relationship. Emotional intelligence recognizes that supporting another person's individuality often strengthens connection rather than weakening it. Some senior men have learned through experience that attempting to control another person's choices rarely creates lasting closeness. Instead, mutual respect grows when both individuals feel trusted to make decisions, maintain friendships, pursue meaningful activities, and continue growing as people. Psychological research on healthy attachment consistently suggests that secure relationships are built on both closeness and autonomy. People feel emotionally safer when they know they are accepted for who they truly are, instead of feeling pressured to change their personality to maintain harmony. A well-developed sense of identity also reduces the need for unnecessary competition within relationships. Rather than comparing achievements, income, appearance, or social recognition, emotionally secure individuals often become more interested in cooperation and shared experiences. They celebrate another person's accomplishments without feeling diminished by them, because their confidence does not depend on always being the center of attention. This creates a supportive environment where encouragement replaces comparison. Consider a situation where a woman begins a new hobby, returns to school, volunteers in her community, or develops a successful project after retirement. An emotionally secure partner is more likely to express genuine enthusiasm for her growth because he does not perceive her success as a threat to his own value. That kind of encouragement reinforces emotional safety because it communicates partnership instead of rivalry. Life experience can also reshape priorities in meaningful ways. Many older adults gradually realize that lasting happiness rarely comes from impressing strangers or constantly proving personal success. Instead, they begin to appreciate meaningful conversations, shared laughter, emotional honesty, dependable friendships, family connections, and everyday moments of peace. This shift in priorities often reduces unnecessary drama because attention moves away from appearances and toward genuine human connection. Women may find this perspective reassuring because it creates relationships based on authenticity rather than performance. Instead of feeling expected to maintain a perfect image, they are more likely to feel accepted with their strengths, imperfections, and changing circumstances. Another characteristic of a secure identity is the willingness to admit mistakes without believing that doing so weakens one's dignity. People who possess inner confidence generally understand that acknowledging an error is a sign of maturity rather than failure. If they misunderstand a conversation, forget an important detail, or unintentionally hurt someone's feelings, they are often more capable of apologizing sincerely without becoming overwhelmed by embarrassment or defensiveness. This ability strengthens trust because it demonstrates accountability and emotional resilience. It also encourages openness, making it easier for both people to discuss challenges honestly instead of hiding problems out of fear. Emotional security is further reflected in the ability to tolerate uncertainty. Relationships naturally include unanswered questions, changing circumstances, and unexpected challenges. Individuals with a stable sense of self are often better equipped to face these uncertainties without reacting impulsively. They recognize that patience, thoughtful communication, and mutual respect usually produce better outcomes than fear-driven decisions. This steady approach can help reduce anxiety within the relationship because emotional reactions become less unpredictable. Everyday behaviors also reveal the presence of a secure identity. Someone who is comfortable with themselves rarely feels the need to dominate conversations, seek constant praise, interrupt others to demonstrate knowledge, or compete for attention in every social setting. Instead, they often listen carefully, share experiences without exaggeration, and allow others the space to express themselves fully. These qualities create conversations where both people feel equally valued, making emotional connection easier to develop through mutual understanding, respect, and the confidence that neither person needs to sacrifice their individuality in order to experience genuine closeness. Disagreements are a natural part of every meaningful relationship, regardless of age, personality, or life experience. What often separates healthy relationships from unhealthy ones is not whether conflict happens, but how both people respond after emotions begin to rise. One psychological reason some women feel safer with certain senior men after the age of 60 is that many have developed stronger conflict repair skills through years of navigating family responsibilities, friendships, careers, marriage, parenting, and countless real-life challenges. While every individual is different, life experience can teach that protecting a relationship is often more valuable than protecting one's ego. Emotional maturity allows a person to recognize that being right does not always lead to a better outcome if the other person feels hurt, ignored, or misunderstood. Instead of reacting immediately with anger or defensiveness, emotionally intelligent individuals are more likely to pause, reflect on what happened, and choose words that encourage understanding rather than deepen emotional distance. Psychology refers to this as emotional regulation, the ability to experience strong feelings without allowing those feelings to completely control behavior. When emotions are managed thoughtfully, conversations remain productive even during difficult moments. Imagine a misunderstanding where one partner feels disappointed because an important plan was forgotten. An impulsive response might involve making excuses, shifting blame, or criticizing the other person's reaction. A more emotionally mature response begins by listening carefully, acknowledging the disappointment, and taking responsibility for the impact of the mistake, even if it was unintentional. This kind of response helps reduce emotional tension because it communicates empathy instead of resistance. Many women find this reassuring because it shows that the relationship matters more than winning an argument. Another important part of conflict repair is the willingness to return to difficult conversations after both people have had time to calm down. Rather than avoiding the issue or pretending nothing happened, emotionally mature individuals understand that unresolved emotions often grow stronger when ignored. Revisiting the conversation with patience creates an opportunity to clarify misunderstandings, rebuild trust, and strengthen mutual respect. Effective conflict repair also includes asking thoughtful questions, expressing sincere apologies when appropriate, avoiding personal attacks, and focusing on solving the problem together instead of treating each other as opponents. These habits create an emotional environment where disagreements become opportunities for greater understanding rather than lasting damage, allowing trust to grow through honesty, accountability, patience, and the shared commitment to preserving emotional connection even during life's most challenging conversations. One of the strongest psychological reasons some women feel safer with certain senior men after 60 is that trust has often been demonstrated through years of consistent behavior rather than persuasive words alone. Psychology suggests that people naturally evaluate character by observing patterns over time. A single kind gesture can leave a positive impression, but repeated acts of honesty, patience, and reliability create lasting confidence. When someone's actions consistently match their words, uncertainty gradually decreases, making it easier for emotional trust to develop. This consistency may appear in simple daily habits, such as keeping promises, respecting personal boundaries, communicating openly, arriving on time, or remaining calm during stressful situations. These ordinary behaviors often reveal far more about a person's character than dramatic declarations or occasional grand gestures. Many women pay close attention to these small moments because they provide realistic evidence of how someone is likely to respond when life becomes challenging. Emotional safety grows when kindness is dependable rather than unpredictable. A person who treats family members, friends, neighbors, and even strangers with the same level of respect demonstrates values that are difficult to fake over long periods. Trust is strengthened not through perfection, but through steady integrity, accountability, honest communication, and the willingness to behave with consistency across both easy moments and difficult circumstances, allowing confidence to develop naturally through everyday experiences.